What's good, everybody? This is the one and only GM, and today I'm gonna make a different type of video. And in this video, I'm gonna just talk about what I feel is the best pad to play Tekken and play fighting games with. So from the get-go, let's talk about the PS1 pad, right? This is the PS1 DualShock pad. This pad, there's some people that like it. I'm not really a big fan of it because it's really rough. The pad is really bony. So like you really gonna feel it when you try to do quarter forward motions and movement. The pad is really stiff. It's really stiff and it's rough. So you're definitely gonna get blisters. It's not like the PS2 pad. It's not like the PS2 pad right here. That it's a lot more, smoother the pad. A PS2 pad is only rough when you first start, using it because you have to break it in. But a PS1 pad is always rough. No matter what, it's always rough. So you have to be careful with that PS1 pad because it's always rough. So that's my opinion on it. It looks like a DualShock 2, but it's really rough. Um, Xbox pad, I think it's terrible, but there's certain players that use Xbox pad. I'm not sure how somebody moves or backdash cancels with this pad or anything. I don't even know how somebody could play Tekken on this. Like I've played on Xbox pads, and I think these are really bad for fighting games. But there's some people that could play on them. I just think moving on this circular pad is just bad because it's like it's twirly, kind of like playing with an analog stick or something. So I don't know how people do it, but I would not recommend this pad. PS1 pad, like I said, it's just like the DualShock 1. It's really bony and it's really rough, but it's small. So if you have small hands, it might be better for you, this pad. I don't like it because it's how rough it is. I prefer the PS2 pad. It's a little bit more bulky, and a more smoother pad. But there's some people that like this pad. It's not my cup of tea because, like I said, the PS1 pad is really rough. And you will definitely get blisters on your fingers if you play with it. But there's some people that like them and some pro players that play it and use it. But to me, the pad is pretty damn rough. The top buttons are good. The top buttons are good, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons is also good. And another thing good about this controller, it doesn't have a PS button, so you don't need to worry about randomly pressing a PS button or you needed like a Ethernet cable to plug it in or desync and stuff like that. You just take it off and it's gone. I was never a fan of the PS3 controller because the diagonals are bad. It was really hard for me to backdash cancel on PS3 pads, literally because the diagonals are not good, and it feels like these could come off when you play. It's a weird feeling moving on this pad, and I just didn't like the way the buttons were. The triggers, they changed the triggers too. The triggers are more like they could get stuck. The triggers on top. That was an issue I had with them, that the triggers get stuck if you press them too much. So it's just a weird pad, and of course the diagonals, and it's pretty cheaply made, so it's kind of easy to break. So I was never a fan of this pad neither. Um, I always used the PS2 controller, and if y'all want to use a PS2 controller like me, y'all could use a Brooks converter. With the Brooks, you could use a PS2 or PS1 pad, and I think these are the best for Tekken. One, they're very durable, and two, they're really easy to find. You could get one used really cheap. So I would definitely suggest a PS2 pad or even a PS1 pad if you want. Um, the PlayStation 5 controller is actually better than all the other pads, and it's better than a PS4 pad, and it's better than a PS3 pad. The issue with PS4 is that it's a $75 controller, and I don't think these controllers are that durable. And also the top buttons can be kind of annoying, and it can be kind of annoying pressing the PS button right here by accident. Because if your fingers is big, you can automatically press it by accident a lot. So that's one issue with this pad. Some people like it. I don't really like it for fighting games, but it's definitely better than the other ones. A little bit easier to move. But like I said, the triggers can be kind of annoying because you could get stuck in between because they're like kind of like this. They're not like the PlayStation that you just press it like this. You could get stuck. They're kind of rough. So that pad is better than the other ones, but like I said, I wouldn't recommend it just because of how much it costs. I never liked the PS4 pad, honestly. The diagonals are rough, so it's hard to backdash cancel, and then the triggers are stiff to me. I don't like how the triggers are like. You see how they kind of like Pac-Man a bit. Like you could get stuck and it kind of hurts after a while pressing them too much. Or trying to move on this is kind of rough too. Because my thumbs are big. So if your thumbs are big, it's kind of rough. You might backdash cancel and you might jump by accident on this pad right here. So I never liked this pad. I think the PS2 pad is the best for fighting games. Some people like the Hori pads and stuff like that. I'm not really a fan of those because, like I said, it was hard for me to move when I try to play a Hori pad, and they kind of, I don't know, I feel like they kind of cheap. So in my opinion, the PS2 pads are the best pads to play. Like I'll put the Hori pad right here so y'all can see it. Hori Pad Pro. So there's a lot of them. Nintendo Switch controller is not very good to to uh to play fighting games with. I would not recommend the Nintendo Switch controller. This is another Xbox pad too. This is just as bad as the other ones. As you can see, it almost looks the same. It's just ugly to play with this. It's very ugly to play with that. So I would not recommend that. Nintendo Switch pad, I wouldn't recommend playing with that neither, because that joint is just stiff too, and the diagonals are bad. See, they got the Apple controller. That one is stiff too. Hori Pad Pro Switch. See that? This is the bigger one. See that, $80, and see how bulky in this is? I wouldn't recommend playing. It's mad bulky, and like this pad on the Nintendo Switch is stiff. So like I said, the best controller to me is the PS2 controller that I just showed you. And let me know what pads y'all think is for Tekken. I think PS2 is good because it's easy to get. You could just get a used one, and then you could just get a Brooks controller, and then you could get the Wingman FGC. And once you get the Wingman FGC, you good to go with the Wingman FGC. I got it right here. Let me show you guys my Wingman FGC. You get a Wingman FGC, right? And you can play, use this on PC, PS4, PS5, and you can play any PS5 game using your Brooks controller. But you need a Brooks converter already. So you need the PS2 converter plus this so you can play it on PS5. So you will need a PS1, PS2, or whatever kind of controller you want to use, PS4, and then get the Wingman, and then you connect it together, and you can play like Tekken 8 with a nice pad. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. I know it's a little bit different, just my opinions on the different controllers you can play for Tekken, but I feel like the PS2 controller is the best controller. And like I said, for me, it was the best because one, um, most of the Tekken games I first started playing were all on PS2. Tekken Tag 1, Tekken 4, Tekken 5, and I could bring my PS2 controller to the arcade and play Tekken in the arcade with my PS2 controller. So my PS2 controller has always been my favorite pad. And it's because of that. I got used to it and I kept playing it, using it. Every single Tekken game, I always use the PS2 pad no matter what. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to comment and like. Check out fightinggm_Tekken. That's the Twitch. The Twitter's fightinggm. Nexus.gg, fightinggm. If y'all want to buy some Capcom games, there's big sales now. You can get Resident Evil 4, Street Fighter 6, and a lot of other games. Check them out, DX Racer. If you want some premium esports chairs, use the code fightinggm23 if you want to save. Check them out, Rogue Energy. Rogue GM is the code if you want to save on some good energy drinks. And check out my Metafy, metafy.gg, Fighting GM, if you want to get some coaching for Tekken. And I hope you guys check out my streams. And Tekken A's around the corner. And yeah, this is a good video for people that don't want to use PS5 pads and might want to use something else to play Tekken, alright? So on that note, be safe and peace out. Laters.